Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Live Chat with James. A bit more of a somber show tonight as we take a further look into the events that took place on the 26th of April here, just the other night. Unfortunately, it is sad to report that the death toll stands at 11 in the attack on the Filipino Lapu-Lapu festival that was taking place in the East Vancouver community. The current information coming out we will discuss in tonight's program, and we'll also discuss comments that people are making on social media as I've covered this story. I was there overnight to cover the investigation, the activity by police as they continued to sort through the scene of the tragedy. And the local area hospitals, 9 hospitals, were dealing with people who had been injured as a result of this car attack on the festivities that were taking place within the Filipino community and the overall community. Now, it is a sad day when a community gets together and enjoys a celebratory and positive event, comes together. The food trucks, the different activities that were taking place were something of excitement, of enjoyment, of a community coming together to honor such an important part of the Filipino community and their culture. Now, with that said, of course, the reports have come out that this individual had an extensive contact list with the Vancouver Police Department, both in a legal and criminality context, but also in mental health issues. The mental health issues, though, should not be seen as an excuse for the behavior for what he had done. We don't know at this time if there were mechanical issues with the vehicle that contributed to this tragedy, but at this point, the individual is in police custody. He was apprehended at the scene by festival goers who held this individual until police arrived to do a formal arrest at the scene. Now, it is also known that Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP party, had left just moments before this incident happened. He was there to celebrate with the community on one of his campaign stops as we go to the polls later today to vote for the new leadership of Canada. Of course, this will be a very important topic for whoever comes out of the election tonight in terms of the winner of both the prime ministerial role, but also for all of the members of parliament that represent the communities across this nation. Now, with that said, I would like to take a moment to read some of the comments that have come up on social media by the viewers before we get into more detail about the events as they transpired. Once again, I did spend time at the location and covered quite a bit of the overnight events and morning events of the investigation. The Vancouver Police Department was not leaving any stone unturned. Literally, they were turning over stones. They were looking everywhere for any evidence that could potentially assist them in their investigation. If you are someone who was at the scene or in the area and have maybe cell phone footage that you were taking selfies or posting online video, and take a look, there may be stuff in the background that you didn't notice that was totally unintentionally captured by your camera. So again, you may not think that you have information or anything that can help, but again, review your own footage of the event, any selfies, any videos that you were posting and so forth, as there could be something in the background that could help police with their investigation as well. If you have any details or if you were there and did not yet speak to law enforcement, then I encourage you to contact the Vancouver Police Department to give them any information, even if you do not feel that there's anything of value there. You just never know what could tie into the investigation and help law enforcement to further this investigation forward. Douglas, welcome to the show. Again, folks, feel free to post your comments up on the screen if you so desire. I'm going to go through some of the comments that have been made online, and they really do support the Filipino community and the Vancouver community in such a tragic event that transpired. Once again, we want to ensure that people understand that this is not a terrorist-related act. It was an individual act. In order for it to be considered a terrorist attack, there would be some type of agenda at play, whether it be religious, political, or otherwise. And that just does not seem to be the case here. Now, going through some of the comments, Miss Yi, welcome. So going through some of the comments that we've received online covering this story, the real Mimi Love, prayers to all the loved ones of the lives tragically lost, with some prayer hands. Apollonia Cotero, I'm so sorry, Joe. My prayers are with the lives lost and their families, community affected. My heart hurts. Mahal kita familia. And then Nimanas, just some hands and a big heart, sending love and support to the community as well. Designed by Desi says, I'm so tired of every single day I'm hearing of nothing but sheer evil in this world. I pray for those innocent people who lost their lives today. This is devastating. Ed Driver A Comedy, several hearts, just sending love. Angela Johnson says, heartbreaking. May God bless and comfort the families of those lost, with some broken heart emojis. T Gold Fan, some prayer hand emojis, as well as Red Ruse. Ronnie FF, the same thing, prayers. Just so many prayers and thoughts coming out. Paulina Aguera Music, I'm so sorry. And again, just so many other things. Bon Bayer says, we are all grieving here for our beautiful Filipino community. Thank you for this post. Yeah, and it's just some emojis there that represent the pain and the upset that people are feeling in the community. And this one here, Duckminster Quick says, I'm from New Orleans. My heart is broken for Vancouver. This didn't need to happen. Young people didn't need to die. No one did. They were just having a good time. Monstrous. Insanity. My hearts are with Vancouver and the Filipino community there. I love you. I'm with you. And again, that was beautifully said by Duckminster_Quick. And these are on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram and wish to read more of those comments, by all means, you can find ProPics on Instagram as well. And yeah, it is just a sad day in Vancouver. There's a lot of pain. We'll go to the more of the information here. Now, as the events transpired, approximately just after 8 p.m., the events were wrapping up for the day. And that is when this individual was able to get his vehicle into the side street where all the food trucks were, hundreds of celebratory people enjoying themselves, having fun, when this vehicle careened through. It was a dark-colored SUV, Audi SUV. It's reportedly owned by someone associated with the suspect's family. and it doesn't appear that it was his own SUV, but it did. It was there on scene as police investigated. I was there at about 2:20 a.m. as the flat deck tow truck arrived to take the vehicle back to the forensics garage for the Vancouver Police Department. The vehicle damage to the front end was very extensive, and it just really drove home the reality of what that vehicle was involved in, and the extent of the damage of the vehicle really was reflective of such a horrific attack. Once again, at last count, it was 11 confirmed deceased and dozens of others still in hospital. It is sadly expected that the death toll may climb over the coming days, weeks, or even over the next month when it comes to people who are hospitalized. There are still extensive injuries. Just a word of warning. That some of the conversation may be a little graphic in terms of detail of the events, but we won't be showing any graphic details in terms of imagery. I will show some of the scene images afterwards as they were investigating, but again, it was I did not record anything until till any of the graphic scenes were not available, because I didn't want to take part in getting images or footage of bodies or of victims, and to me that is disrespectful when media do that, for the simple fact that the families, the community, and the victims don't need to see themselves or their loved ones on the television screen, on the internet, and such. So the images and video that I captured was after or just not of areas where there were bodies. With that said, there were a lot of bodies laying around. There were some that were under vehicles, under the food trucks. There was reports, and unconfirmed as of yet, but of a baby who was struck and landed under one of the food trucks as well, and deceased. So it is a very sad and tragic event that took place. Now, there have been questions as to why the police didn't have a bigger presence and why there were not bigger barricades at the location of the celebration to prevent vehicles from getting through. Now, we have to keep in mind that Vancouver traditionally holds a very large number of festivals, of protests, of rallies, of celebrations, just different events of many different kinds. Lasting Quest, welcome. But yeah, so, and when each event puts an application forward to the city for a permit to hold an event, it goes through various departments, including the engineering department. Goes, if required, it goes past the fire department. It goes through the police department. It goes through many different layers of city approvals. And the reason why is to ensure that the event is not only well planned and laid out in terms of the infrastructure in place, whether that be bathrooms and outhouses or portable bathrooms, right through to first aid, emergency response, all of that, security, blockades if required. So again, it goes through all of those levels of clearances and planning. So it's not that it was just put together. It was well planned. It was well laid out. The vast majority of the festival took place within a fenced-in area or a part of the school grounds that was not accessible by vehicles to get into. Unfortunately, the food trucks were located on a side street that ran parallel to the school, just off of Fraser and 43rd, and that is where this tragic event took place. Now, with that said, as we were talking there was many layers of approvals, and when you look at the history of certain events, they take into what's happened in the past as a part of the planning and logistics. Now, this event was the second annual event of its type for the Lapu-Lapu celebration and festival. Last year, it went without a glitch. It was a great day for everyone, as was this year until that event tragically happened. Now, there was no concerns, as you may see at certain rallies or protests or even community events such as the Vaisakhi Day parades and celebrations there. Now, the difference being is that there is not a real threat to safety when it comes to our Filipino community in Vancouver. There's not a lot of extremism. There's not, it's just not something that they would anticipate there being any type of threat there in terms of something like this. Now, when you take that into account, of course, people were saying that there was a much higher presence at the Vaisakhi Day celebrations that took place in Vancouver and in Surrey recently. But again, when you look at the Hindutva extremists, when you look at the different factions, whether it's the Sikhs, whether it's the Hindus, whether it is any of those type of combinations, there has been a history recently of some tempers being broiled over, of instigators of violence or potential violence happening at different events. So again, that's why you would have seen a higher police presence and a different risk level associated with that event as opposed to the Lapu-Lapu Day festivities, because it just wasn't something that's on the radar as a big threat. Now, with that said, of course, it is going to change the future of how events are handled and how roads are handled for closures and such in the future. It's going to make a huge difference. And yes, no, absolutely, last inquest. It wasn't a matter of payments for the city of Surrey for police or road closures. And yes, the festivals and different events do cover those policing costs generally. But yeah, it wasn't in any way meant as a negative. It was just saying that the risk factors were different, and that's why you didn't see it. And also the numbers. I mean, when you look at the amazing Vaisakhi Day event that took place in Surrey, for example, you had over 500,000 people planned. And yes, it is a different event, whereas it blocks off many city streets. It gathers so many more people, whereas the Lapu-Lapu Day festivities were a much lower attendance number. Now, again, Vaisakhi is seen at a different level, A, because of the number of people, B, the number of streets and road closures that happen, the length of the event, of course, being that those road closures and such happen throughout the day and are closed for the entire day. And anybody who follows my programs and my shows regularly will know that I cover the Vaisakhi Day celebrations almost every year. It is just an amazing celebration that welcomes the community. So yes, it has been a very, very successful event, one of the largest Vaisakhi events outside of India anywhere else in the world. So again, it is. But with that said, outside of the Sikh community, outside of the diaspora and such, it does, being a large community event, bring a higher risk of threat as well. So again, anyone should compare Vaisakhi in any ways. Well, I think that when we are talking about community events, I think that it is important to look at how they are handled in the context of people understanding the difference in the reasons why they are looked at in different security threat levels. So again, I think that it is very, very relevant to compare it, because we're also going to be looking at other events as well, not just Vaisakhi, but that is something that people have asked. So I wanted to address it and make sure that people understood why it's looked at differently in that event. But again, it is not pulling out or pointing out any negatives in terms of Vaisakhi, in terms of the Khalsa Day celebrations in any way. It's not. It's actually looking at it as a very positive example of how events can be handled in Vancouver, and how the events will be changed in the future. But I think that what you're missing there, in terms of lasting quest to your comments, I think that what you're missing there is how much the Vaisakhi parade and Khalsa Day celebrations are an example of how major events can be handled very well in Vancouver, in Surrey, and in Canada. I think that they have set a benchmark that they can look at the risk assessments and really plan well and move the event from a planning stage to a very successful and happy memory for everybody who partakes. And I think that's what you're missing there, is the point of how Vaisakhi in comparison can be used as a benchmark and a foundation to build safety and security for other related events, or unrelated events in Vancouver, such as the Lapu-Lapu Day celebration, or whether it is folk festivals in Stanley Park. It doesn't matter what the event is. It is really to keep in mind, it's about safety and the positivity of these major events that happen. And again, Lasting Quest, as you are very aware, obviously, how successful the Vaisakhi Day and Khalsa Day events are in Vancouver, and how successful they have been for several decades. And that again goes to the planning, but also to the security protocols that are brought in. And the fact, of course, that the Sikh community does contribute to the cost of the policing, of law enforcement, of the security planning, and such. So again, it is, I think, very important to look at the Vaisakhi Day events as a benchmark, and as I said, as a leadership role to how to plan successful, secure events in Metro Vancouver and in Canada. So again, it is. But as we were saying, so as you look at the different events, and that's why they have different levels of security. Now, of course, it is easy for people to look back and say, well, those streets off of Fraser should have been blocked with barricades, concrete barricades, or dump trucks, or whatever the case may be. But again, it is an event or an incident that took place that could not have been foreshadowed in terms of the threat that this individual had. It's, a very tragic and sad day. Yes, there are things that could have been done differently, but given the history of events in Vancouver and in Canada, it just wasn't something that was seen as a credible threat at the time. And that is sad, because by overlooking or looking past that potential, obviously is a sad day. So again, it is something that we need to look at. And again, I do believe that the Khalsa Day and Vaisakhi celebrations, the way that they plan out security, the way that they plan out the festivities and the layouts, all of that, I think, is an important opportunity for other festivals to learn from them in terms of their planning and their strategy and their security. So again, I think that that is something that can happen. Again, when people look at it as to the current reports and the individual, there are a lot of reports about him having mental health issues. But again, that should not be mixed up in the fact that having mental health issues does not automatically mean that you are criminally insane or criminally not responsible for your actions due to mental defect or illness. So again, although there is a lot of talk about the mental health aspects that play a role here, it is not necessarily something that is going to negate the person being convicted and held accountable for their actions. With that said, of course, we don't know the full extent of what happened there. There's still a lot of investigation to go through. There is the forensics unit and the Vancouver police investigators will go through that vehicle with a fine-tooth comb to find out if there was an accelerator or braking issue or things to that nature. It is a sad day, though, and although a lot of media outlets may be willing to jump on and speculate about this individual or about the vehicle or about the motivation, we just don't know at this time, and there's a lot of information that still needs to be gone through. It's not something that we're going to get information and answers overnight. So again, it is as tough as it is. It's going to be a tough, long road, and people need to really try to have patience as difficult as that's going to be, because of course we want answers, and they just aren't going to be available that quickly as much as people want. And then there may be other answers that have to be withheld in order to preserve the integrity of the police investigation and then the Crown's prosecution of the individual. So again, even though there may be information that does come to light, it may not be released to the public in due course. It'll come out, but not immediately. So again, it's going to be tough. People are going to want answers, but we also have to be patient and allow the legal process to play out and the court process to play out in order to ensure the credibility of our legal system is maintained. But again, it is a tough day. People are still in shock about what has happened in Vancouver. And as I said, being down at the location, it was just chaos that you can imagine, or can't imagine, I would say, beyond what words can really describe. And, when I was down there, it was just stuff all over the place. People had dropped things in the road, and, it just looked like a post-apocalyptic event almost from that point. And it just, people dropped their lives, just stopped at that moment. Not only those injured or those who have been who have died from this, but just people who were in attendance in shock and witnessing such a horrific event. I mean, their lives have stopped for now, as well as the community as a whole. And part of the healing process is going to be getting answers. And again, it's going to be a long process, so it may be difficult for that to happen. Now, I am going to just go back here, and I'll pull up on the screen behind me. I will bring up a few images or videos. Again, I am not going to be showing anything graphic on the screen. I'll just show the location and such, but I will not be showing anything graphic, folks. So yeah, again, it is about respecting the countless number of victims in the community. So just bear with me here as we pull that up. I'll just slide over out of the way a bit. So here it's a bit bright in terms of your screen there, but I'll just give you an insight here as to the layout and what was going on. So here you had food trucks lining the street. Okay, now here you can see things scattered all over the road. Again, this is personal belongings. It is just all kinds of things. Off to the side here where you see the school crossing sign, just in that area is fenced in and elevated, so the vehicle could not get into that school area. The field, the playgrounds, the different areas there where the festival was mostly contained. But this area here was essentially the only accessible by vehicle in terms of where this happened. So again, from this point of view, we are facing eastbound, going towards Fraser Street in Vancouver. And this is the layout. Now, this vehicle was sitting here. I'm not sure what its purpose was, but it was there. You can see other vehicles still, and the food truck still there as police continued their investigation. This was the morning after, so very early in the morning. You can see the investigative teams and the Vancouver Police Department here, right in that area there. And in the background, you may not be able to tell from the screen there that you're watching, but this is the Mobile Police Command Center from the Vancouver Police Department, a very large truck and command center here. They had this area just in front of me where I was standing at this angle. They had that closed off, of course. And then the investigation, as you can see, was working its way down the street. It is my understanding that the vehicle was traveling eastbound, so that means that he would have been going in the direction that I'm facing here, heading towards Fraser, if that is correct. Again, that I wasn't there at the time of the actual event, so I'm going by what the reports are that I've gotten so far. So, of course, at this point, you can see the food trucks have lined the street. You can see the tents here that were set up. And again, most of the activity was going on the left side of the screen here, off of the screen that you can't see it that in this view here. So again, that is the location of the event. And down at that end of the street was blocked off at the time of the festival with the barricades, or the just small barricades. They weren't like concrete barricades or anything to that nature that that some people are visualizing. It was able to get through, from this end here going to that direction. So again, here there were barricades, but just not concrete or whatever. So again, this is looking at the location of the horrific event that happened there. And we'll pause that there, and we'll take a look at another view of the area. So let's go from this angle. Bear with me, folks. I'll just get the next one up. Okay, so looking from this angle here, this is actually looking westbound now. And I apologize, the clip's in the way. Okay, so here is the mobile command center that we were talking about from the Vancouver Police Department, blocking the road access going westbound off of Fraser Street. And just in this area here behind, of course, that is the ground zero of the attack area where the vehicle ran over the crowd or through the crowd. Again, you can see the tents that are set up here and the food trucks that are kind of blocked from this view here. But it gives you an idea as to the layout here. So as you go westbound, of course, you had all the food trucks lining the street behind the police command center. And then just down on the right would have been that school at the next corner. So the school would have been there. It's a slightly elevated field with a fence. So it was not accessible to vehicle traffic to get into that area where the majority of the event was taking place. So again, that gives you a bit of an idea of the layout and how things were looking at that time. Now again, this was very early in the morning. The police were still there on site doing their investigation and trying to deal with all of the vast amounts of evidence that had to be gathered and collected. Again, it was such a horrific scene that, again, it is, but if you can imagine how professional the police must be to try and deal with it and try to compartmentalize their emotions, because let's face it, this is a part of their community as well. They live and they work in this community, and to see such a horrific event that we've never ever seen before in Vancouver take place was just horrifying. So again, this here shows a bit more, and again, your screen doesn't, probably you can't see too well here, but again, these are food tents and over some of the food trucks, and then the main street here with more food trucks and tents on that side of the street. So again, forensic units would have put tents up over areas that they still had to deal with, excuse me, in terms of processing the scene of the crime and the tragedy that laid out. So again, you can see up here the police tape. So at all times, we respect police tape. There was a certain reporter from another network. We won't mention them on air here, but the reporter did cross the police tape trying to get a better vantage point for her interview and backdrop, which I thought was just, as a professional journalist, I thought was so disrespectful, not only to our industry, but it gives all journalists a bad name when reporters do this just to get that little bit extra. And really, the officers were very respectful in telling her to get her ass on the other side of the tape and not to do it again. So they were very professional in it, but I must say, a lot more professional than I would have been, because I just kept my mouth shut, stayed out of it. But again, it gives all journalists a bad name when they act in such a manner that puts that just really can compromise a crime scene, especially something so horrific as this. The first priority has to be the victims and the community, not a newscast. And so again, to other reporters out there, I ask that you please show some decorum, show some respect, and show some professionalism, because we are in a world where journalism is a tough business to be in. It is not one that has adapted well in terms of careers when it comes to the new digital age. There's a lot of challenges facing journalism and reporters, news agencies, and so forth. There's also a lot of misdirected anger towards news agencies and journalists and reporters. So again, let's not give people ammunition to come at us and to think that we're all a bunch of scumbags. After all, we are just trying to do a job to report the news, to report on important issues that need to be brought to the public. But we should not be doing that at the cost of any person, or at the cost of an investigation by entering a crime scene that is clearly taped off and that you're clearly not supposed to be entering. So again, to the other journalists out there, please show some respect, show some professionalism, and let's show the public that journalism is not the big bad machine that certain governments or individuals would want you to think that it's all fake. It's not. The majority of us work our asses off. We put ourselves on the line to bring the information, because it's important to document truth. It's important to document the real stories and to get the truth out to the general public. So with that said, folks, we don't know what's going to happen with the investigation, but we will, of course, keep our eyes open on the different stories that come out. But we, again, rely on fact checking and bringing you credible information, not piles of speculation and falsehoods. So again, that is just of utmost importance to make sure the credibility is there. And when you talk about the first responders, I really need to speak about them. The police, the paramedics, the firefighters, the hospital workers that received patients and cared for them all through the night, and still continue to care for them. I mean, this is their community, and for them to have to emotionally check out in order to make sure that they provide the level of professionalism and care required is a challenge that is asked of first responders, and it's not always easy. There were police officers who were visibly shaken, that were, that did have tears in their eyes, that had to take a moment to regain composure. And again, we didn't capture any of those on camera, because that is not, it might look good on camera for a news feed to get clicks, but at the end of the day, it is about that personal emotional level that overwhelms all of us when we get into some of those positions of these horrific events. So again, there has to be some type of humanity that comes with journalism and reporting, that that it has to come first and foremost before you look at just trying to get clickbait for your stories. So as that goes, we do know again that the 30-year-old male suspect has been identified as Kai G. Adam Low. He is in custody. He's facing several murder charges, among others. We do expect that there'll be more information coming out in the next few days. But at this point, we'll give you a quick update that the police are confident it was not an act of terrorism. At least 11 people are dead. Dozens of injured are still being cared for. The driver is charged with 8 counts of second-degree murder, and there will probably be other charges to follow. The driver had mental health issues and has a history of that, which is not an excuse for such a horrific act, but it just goes to the contributing factors. And of course, the Filipino community is reeling, as is the rest of the city. There are mental health supports available. If you are in need of supports, you can contact the Vancouver Police Department or do a Google search. There are specifically set up for a critical response by the Vancouver Police Department's Crime Victim Support Services, as well as other resources that have been set up by the province of British Columbia in conjunction with the city of Vancouver to help people through this. If you are someone who is suffering from depression or anxiety or panic attacks, this is normal after such a traumatic event, and there is help available. Don't feel that you have to handle it on your own. It is something that is horrific. It's tragic, and of course it can be traumatizing. So don't be shy to reach out for help, to talk to someone if you need to. And again, don't feel that that makes you weak or anything to that nature, because it's quite the opposite. It makes you stronger and helps you through it. And remember, by speaking to someone, you may be inviting them to speak about their emotions that they've been suppressing as well. So it may actually be just as healthy for the other person that you reach out to as it is for yourself. So again, just really take care of yourself, folks. Our thoughts, our prayers, and our offer of condolence to all of those impacted by these tragic events. If there's any way in which ProPix Canada Media can assist any of the victims, of course, we are always there, but we will also continue to report on this incident. And once again, we will definitely bring more reports. We don't know if there is any type of a plea happening in terms of guilty or not guilty as it moves into the court system. But he did appear in court on Sunday and or before a judge, and at this point he is still in custody. We don't know what else is going to happen. We will bring more information on Monday to you later in the day, and we will cover any updates tomorrow on Live Chat with James at 11:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you have any comments that you wish to share on this story or any others, please feel free. If you're watching the repeat of this show, by all means, feel free to leave your comments in the comment section, and we will respond, or we may bring them up on air as well. So yeah, the community is going to be recovering for quite some time. And RJ Aquino, who said just that the community will feel this for a long time. And he is chair of the community advocacy group Filipino BC. So he also wanted to state that we want to tell everybody that we are grieving. We want to tell everybody that we see and hear the support from, and thank you for the support from around the world at this point. And literally, people are reaching out from around the world to offer their condolences and support. Once again, you've been watching Live Chat with James. I'm here in the ProPix TV studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. Once again, if you have any thoughts that you wish to share, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. Other than that, folks, this has been another episode of Live Chat with James. Thank you for tuning in. Stay safe. And again, if you need to speak with someone about the tragic events in Vancouver, to work through your grief or your anxiety, your pain, your confusion. These are all normal things that happen after such a tragic event. So don't feel shy about reaching out. Once again, there are the victims of crime support workers through the Vancouver Police Department, as well as other resources that have been put in place in partnership with the province of British Columbia and the city of Vancouver. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow night.